Darian Thomas, another Listen Up Wednesday video. Listen up, I think you're really going to learn something today. Today's topic is kind of interesting, it's kind of cool, it's actually really cool. Freedom. Talk about freedom. I'm not talking about financially freedom, I'm talking about just freedom. Freedom in general, time freedom. I think it's something that is really overlooked. How valuable is your time? Sometimes I think we need to stop and think to ourselves, how valuable is my time? Let's touch on some pretty hot topics, so I definitely would try to pay attention to this as much as possible. So I think this applies to every single person who's going to be watching this video. Going to be talking about time versus money. Once again, how valuable is your time? And the example that I'm going to give here is hours times a dollar amount. So like I said, I'm just going to use hours times $10 an hour. So let's just say you are paid at $10 an hour. Realistically, like I said, I'm just using round numbers, but so where I'm going with this is, let's just say if you work 10 hours, you're gonna make 100 hours, right? If you work, 20 hours, you get where I'm going with this, $200. So the point is, and what I'm trying to bring up time versus money is, how valuable is your time? What if I could tell you that let's just say you make $1,000 a week, right? $1,000 a week. But what if I took away 20 of your hours? What if I told you you could still make the same amount of money? This is where investing comes into play. Now, obviously, a lot of people know that I'm a real estate agent myself. I'm going to talk about why it's very, very, very important to invest, right? Because then you can start eliminating hours and start getting back time. And this is why it's important. I know I've told people about this concept before, about the two different people. There's two different people, right? Each of them made $1,500 in 1 week, each person. You have person A and person B. Person A made $1,500. Person B made $1,500. The only difference, the biggest difference is, person A worked 70 hours a week that week, 20 hours of overtime. He made $1,500. Person B was on vacation. Passively, they make that money. Person B passively. It's very, very important to understand passive income. So where I'm going with this is passive income is what we're talking about here. Now, talked about expenses. Let's just say your living expenses. Your expenses in general. This has nothing to do with your living expenses, but just expenses in general, right? Just your regular expenses are $1,000 a month, right? Let's just say your expenses are $1,000 a month. Let's just say your housing expense is $700. Generally, typically, the most expensive expense you have in your life is your housing expense. I think a lot of people could agree with that. It adds one expense, as your car payment probably isn't as much as your mortgage or your rent. There's nothing really that you're going to be paying monthly, as much as your mortgage or rent. So where I'm going with this is, if you could eliminate your housing expense, right, and put it to zero. So how do we do that? A couple different avenues. Like I said, we're talking about passive income. Now, me, I live in a duplex, right? So essentially what I'm doing is I'm eliminating the $700. So let's just say, even if I don't even make it, let's just say I'm only making $650, right, in rent is what my tenants. So my mortgage is $700, they're only paying me $650. Now I have $50, right? That's how much I owe. I'm in the whole $50. Everybody with me? So now, expenses. Now, let's just say your overall expenses for the whole entire month are $1,000. Now, how can I do that passively? Let's just say with another investment property. Now, let's just say I'm up to 2 or 3 properties, right? I'm up to 2 or 3 properties. I'm making, now let's just say I'm making, I don't know, $900. Right? So, in all, I'm $100. So, what does that equal out to? $150. So that's what I'm paying. Now keep in mind, these are my expenses and my housing. Overall, I'm paying $150. This is everything. This is gas, this is car payment, this is groceries, this is my overall living and my normal living expenses versus my housing as well, right? So, you ask yourself, how can you be free? If you can get $150 a month to what you essentially are paying for your expenses, right? Essentially, and if it's all done through passive income, everything that you make beyond that, beyond the 150, is going to be profit. So it's very important. This is why passive income is very, 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 very important. It's very, very important because, like I said, you could work 70 hours a week. I think the typical person, right, when they want to make more money, they're going to work more hours. Passively, you just acquire more, whether it's properties, you invest more money, whether it's stock market, or however you want to invest, but when you're going after passive income, what you free up is time. To me, this is more important than this because guess what? Eventually, the more I invest into passive income, the more money I'm going to make anyway, right? There's people out there who are working 50 hours a week, right? Making, I don't know, $70,000 a year. And there's people literally who are working 3 hours a week, making $110,000 a year because of passive income. It's very important to understand why passive income is very important. Because if you can make passive income and get your overall, this is literally everything, all of your expenses down to $150 because of the passive income you were able to generate, it's doable. So now your $700-800 checks that you're making, that's all profit. It's all profit. So passive income is very, very important because passive income gives you time. Time gives you freedom. You gotta think to yourself, how valuable is my time? Start thinking outside of the box. How can I generate passive income? Can you start a business? Yes, start a business. But keep in mind too, with a business, you're putting time into that business. And sometimes with that, you're not necessarily gaining freedom because you're putting time into it. You want your time back. How can you passively invest in different things? That'll generate that. So think outside the box. Darian Thomas, listen up. I think you may learn something today. Actually, I think you did learn something today.